Well, 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 it's a sunny day. The internet's back on. Let's go and make a model. But anyway, nice day. Dry phone lines. Now look at this one. I don't know how rare this is, but my goodness, what a good one. First of all, it's the Crusader tank by Airfix, but the 1/32 scale version. How about that? I had that as a kid, and it was an interesting model. I felt the plastic was a bit thin, and it felt a bit lightweight for its size, but it was a very good model to make, and I do like the tank, strangely, despite my quibbles. But here you also get the 1/32 German multi-pose Africa core, plus the 1/32 multi-pose, you know what I mean, British 8th Army figures. Now that's good. I didn't have this as a kid, and I've got this off eBay at a really good price because nobody else seemed to want it, and I can't fathom why. I'm going to do these figures separately as I need to, basically, so they'll have little films of their own. And in here is the tank itself, and that's what I'm going to... oh, and a pair of legs. They look very, very British, those knees. But here's the tank, and what I'll do is I'm going to make that one as part of my project Whinge at British Tank Design, because actually I rate this one quite well. It had technical problems, but I think it was a step in the right. I've just flipped the bits over so that we can get something of a look. There's two parts of the turret. There's the underside of the, or the inside of the hull. And there's a good amount of parts, and they're really clean, actually. They've come out of the mould really well by the look of it, and now it's all just shine. Meanwhile, underneath, as usual, instructions, transfers and so on. What is interesting is you get transfers. That's upside down, isn't it? Anyway, you get transfers for the figures. That looks like the 8th Army. I can see MP written on one. Yeah, and that's Africa Corps. Tamiya used to do the same, didn't they? I'm not sure everybody does. And here, more flexible than the old Airfix, you get a variety of images to go on your tank, so you can choose what division and so on. Oh, I don't know. There's the instructions. I'm losing it, aren't I? There's the instructions for the tank, and then for the figures. They're multi-pose, as they say, but obviously you have a standard figure, and you can mix and match the arms and legs. So just to give us an idea, rather nice. Oops, not forgetting there's an 8th Army one as well. So I'll put the transfers in and all that. You don't want to know that. Two types of wheel. There's one. Just front and back, really. There they are on. Kept them on the frame just to stop everything rolling about and getting lost. Got to put the widgets on the end there. Done the same with those bits. Just a production line at the moment. First things first, there's the hull. You slot the suspension in there and add the wheels on. So I've already done that on this side. Simple as that. Quite complex design, not by the model makers, by the tank designers, but that's British for you. Over-engineer it whenever you can. Now we have lots of little boxes. Remember the song? And they go all around the top of the hull. I think, let's see if we can see. There we go. So that's the next step. while the wheels dry, because the wheels have ended up being a problem, and we'll come back to that shortly. It's the previous footage, because I just thought of something and haven't got any film to go with it. I recently saw something like 1943 or 4 film. I think it's called Desert Victory, which is basically a British morale booster, and it's all about the Battle of El Alamein and the build up to it. And a really good film it is too, because they're using all authentic stuff and real footage and so on. And they show several shots of British chaps filling these boxes, largely with bully beef. Blimey, can you imagine some shell hitting one of those boxes? Kind of boiled, roasted bully beef flying everywhere. Anyway, that's what goes in these boxes. Now, while things are drying on the hull, and paint is drying on bits to go on the hull. Oh, that's going to be a problem though. Yeah, anyway, meanwhile, so yeah, good. I'm glad I'm not carrying on with that then. The turret. One turret. A little bit gluey here and there. That's my fault. It was a problem-free construction event thing. Joyous. What is wrong with me tonight? Anyway, there it is. I like that turret. It's good shape. We're heading towards T-34 territory, perhaps just by accident. But the British were getting there just for a moment. Suddenly the wheels turned bad. Unfortunately, the holes, in the back of the wheels were so small, the rods of the suspension didn't go in at all. You couldn't even sort of balance them on them. So I drilled out the holes on the wheels, and even then it wasn't a great fit. The other problem was if you, because it was so tight, all he did was create a pocket of air inside the hole, and so you couldn't push the rod in anyway. So in the end I cut a slight groove in the tip of the rods. I should have shown this. Oh, the cat wants out. And that allowed the air to come out. I put a bit of glue in, gave it a push, and then the glue all squared out. So they're gluey, and they're not very straight. Messy, that. This is the worst bit so far. So a few bits to go on. Yeah, I did lose some shots. And just getting it out into the sunlight to see how things are. Which it's okay. Yeah, it's an alright build. So enjoyable. So far so good. I do remember the tracks were horrible and they haven't improved. And yeah, just got to put the rack on the side for the stowage and a few little bits and pieces really. So it's coming along. What a lot of leftover images and numbers and things. I'll use them up on something. This is it with all the parts on. Not the best weather for a desert tank, but there we go. Stuck with that one. Oh look, huh, that's not all the parts on. We've got no tracks. Looks quite good without, doesn't it? Anyway, all the parts are on. It all went together really rather well. There weren't any serious problems. I haven't got the rails on the side with the baggage either. So nearly all the parts on. Which means we'll just have a quick look and then we'll go back and we will put the other parts on. Rubbish, isn't it? Still not got the tracks on, but things were so bad outside I had to do just, you know, fix this position in time at least. So here we are, most of the parts on, and I do like the look of this tank. Shame it was so dogged with mechanical problems and hadn't really got, I think, got the full conviction of the people who came up with it or deployed it. Never mind. Right, first things first, I just wanted to make this as a simple model, just as it came, because I remember making it as a kid. I thought it was a great model, but there was something about it that wasn't quite right. So I wanted to make it straight, as little weathering as possible, and as little mucking about with it as possible. And so consequently you get this. And now looking back, I realise, oh, there goes some little lambs. How very desert. I realise that the big problem is the tracks. I didn't want to paint them up or weather them or anything like that, just straight as they come, and they are abysmal. So that's where the problems lie. I'll put this one away. I'll come back to it another day, and goodness knows what I'll do with the tracks. Maybe I'll see if you can get other ones online or something, and we'll have to give it a bit of ooh, that was nasty, I'll leave that. Have to give it a bit of a liven up, I think. So that's sort of a review of the model. It all went together well. The wheels were a bit tricky, as I said, but it came out okay apart from the tracks. That's where the real problem lies. Oh, and then I found these, which means I haven't finished, and I'm not sure where they go because I've got rid of the instructions now. And there's two holes there, and suddenly I remembered there's a kind of frame with some bits of spare track. So I've run into problems. Well, I went on the internet and I got all that sorted, had a good look at the instructions online, and oh, the track's coming off the wheels, did you see that? And got them on, and I think they're in the right place. Look, see, it's just not, track's not happy, and you move it a fraction and it's slipped off. Anyway, in one of those books that I like to use, this one's called Tanks and Other Armoured Fighting Vehicles, 1942 to 45, B.T. White, by Blandford Press. Brilliant little books. This one says of the Crusader, its good speed of nearly 30 miles an hour was an asset in the desert, though, and was a feature liked by its crews and admired by the Germans and Italians. The latter to the point of building an experimental tank of their own, modelled on the Crusader. Well, that's not bad, is it? So, you know, good things starting to happen in British tank design. It kind of got upgraded armour, and the little machine gun turret at the front was taken away because it was too small. Then a 6-pounder gun was added to the turret to make it the Crusader 3. Because as usual with British tanks, they go through so many strange little modifications. But anyway, that one isn't so strange. And again, the book says basically the same turret was used with the mantlet redesigned, but the bigger gun meant a reduction in the crew to 3, whereas it used to be 5. And in the end, a total of 5,300 Crusaders was built by a group of firms under the parentage of Nuffield Mechanisations and Aero Limited. This total includes tanks which were later in the war converted to anti-aircraft tanks and 17-pounder gun tractors. The anti-aircraft tanks are very interesting, and I did make one, but I don't know what's happened to the film, I don't know what's happened to the model. Anyway, and they were chiefly employed in northwest Europe. The Crusader 1's action was in the North African desert in 1941. So it has a patchy lifespan, and as happens with a lot of tanks that quickly go out of date, they get converted into other things. The interesting thing about the anti-aircraft version is that the Luftwaffe were so few in number over the Western Front in the last year or year and a half of the war that there wasn't a lot of use for them. So they kind of got slightly mothballed, and I've seen pictures of them with the guns all wrapped in canvas and that kind of thing. Anyway, here's our little tanks. Here's a few little desert. Look at that 172nd one at the back. Here's oh, and the wheel fell off. After all that, the wheels were a problem. And somebody mentioned the cat, didn't they? It's fortuitous. There we go. Thanks for watching. See you again. Hopefully it won't be so long. There is more rain coming.